Welcome to Ray Sensation. I'm your host, Dan. And in this episode, I am going to be looking at some independently published bad girl comics. If you don't know what bad girl comics are, well, I'm not going to go into a whole history of it. But suffice to say, think of it as the feminine side of the anti-heroes, the extreme anti-heroes that were popular at the time period, especially at Image Comics or something like that. Now, I didn't really read Image Comics at that time. I didn't read Marvel or DC Comics at the time these things were popular, like the late 80s, early 90s, when all that extreme stuff was going on. I wasn't really reading mainstream comics. I was reading independent stuff. And the comics I've got here are not the ones that were done by the bigger publishers. These are all independent, very small publishers. And I don't even have anything from the larger independents. These are all really small ones. I did not buy them at the time because I was only going to the comic shop very infrequently. And the comic shops were really flooded with a lot of stuff that I wasn't interested in at the time. And it made me not want to even poke around too much. You know, I'd go in and buy the new Love and Rockets, the new 8-Ball, things like that. You know, Chester Brown, something like that. You know, these are ones I've picked up in my search through dollar bins. Over the years, these things have popped up in a lot of dollar bins. And I picked them up. You know, if I'm at a lot of the ones I get are if I go to a convention and I'll go through the dollar bins, and, you know, a lot of times you can get discounts. If you get more than so many, you get a price break. And so many and so many and so many, and you get a bigger, you pay less and less each. You know, I've paid as little as quarters sometimes for comics because I bought, you know, enough. The thing is that you don't really look at them. You know, you take a look at them, but just enough to know, okay, I'm willing to take a chance on it. And so what you end up with is some comics that aren't worth anything. You know, they might have appealed to you for a second. So these are some I pulled out because I have an Instagram account, I wanted to post some stuff on Instagram. There's a couple of people who post really great off-the-wall, independent, small press comics. And I like those kind of things, and I thought I'd share some of mine. So I pulled these out. I put them up on Instagram. You know, some people liked them. If you want to, go to Instagram, follow me, Rave Sensation on Instagram. I don't publish that often, and I only really started putting things up a couple months ago, so it's not really that populated, but there's some stuff there you might find interesting. And I also share some other accounts that are posting the same kind of stuff. Really good stuff. So anyway, I'm going to take a quick look at this. I really looked at these last year when I got them. I don't really remember most of them, so forgive me if I don't give you too much background on them. I'm mainly just going to talk about what I still liked about them, and I'll also, I think, take a peek at the date. We'll kind of see how many of these really fall in that late 80s, early 90s. I think mostly early 90s, probably, a lot of this stuff. Yeah, so let's take a look at this. The first one up, The Big Bad Blood of Dracula from Apple Comics. This is a parody of those supermarket checkout sensationalistic papers, the tabloids of the time. The thing is, the thing about a good parody is it looks a lot like what it's parodying, so that you will take a second glance. You'll go like, wait, what was that? There's no way that gag doesn't really work here because this is not the right format. The tabloids would never have comic art like this on the cover of them. So that's a joke. The joke on the cover kind of falls flat. Sorry to say. This first story is why I thought this was worth looking at. This is Mike McCarthy is the artist and writer of this first thing. And this is Cadavera. I think that's how I'm going to say it. Cadavera. Sexy bad girl fighting Nazis and supernatural stuff, like zombies and things. And like there's I don't know, she's a Nazi vampire or what the heck that thing is. But this reminds me a lot of Fearless Dawn, another bodacious pinup girl who fights monsters and stuff. Some of the humor in here works, some of it doesn't, but the artwork is great. I really like it. And you might recognize like an image very similar to this. This comic got 2 issues. I don't know how many of you remember, Fantagraphics had a short-lived monster line. They had Eros for the, which lasted a lot longer, which was their porn comic line. They had one called Monster, which I forget who the editor of that line was, but they were monster comics, and some of those are worth checking out. Some were just okay, but some of them were pretty good. I wish that it had lasted a little bit longer. But this had 2 issues. I don't know if they're both actually on that Fantagraphics line. I know issue 1 was. I've got issue 1, and it is something you can easily... I'm not sure how many of these damn things were printed, but that one's in dollar bins a lot. But I've never seen issue 2, so I don't have issue 2. But I'm pretty sure that was on Monster also. I'm hoping to pick up that maybe in my dollar bin looking this year. I'll find it. Anyway, so I like this art a lot. I'm happy to have this one. The next part of this comic is a chronology of Dracula. Yeah, I'm not thrilled with that, even though they have a lot of unusual artwork used there. Now, this last one I thought I'd point out, Out on a Limb by Bernie Wrightson, about a guy with 3 arms. This short horror story was actually done for the short-lived Warren ripoff magazine, The Web of Horror. And Web of Horror was one of those ones where people used to talk about, like, because there was more freedom given there by the editors. It was done by for competition for Warren magazine, and it has some of the earliest work by Wrightson and some other famous cartoonists. It had a big reputation. The 4th issue never came out. This was meant for that 4th issue. Now, this is not the first place I've seen this reprinted. So the Wrightson one got around for a bit. And you can see this was made for the magazine format. The dimensions are for the magazine. So what's funny is it's meant to be printed bigger than a regular comic, but when they print it in a regular comic, because of the dimensions, they have to make it smaller yet. And then this is here to make up for the formatting. It's not the greatest story Wrightson did. And, the Web of Horror, the interesting thing about that is they just put out a complete Web of Horror. It collects the first 3 issues, and it collects the 4th issue, all the stories that were originally made for the 4th issue, including this. And it's really great reproduction of the artwork. The individual issues were generally hard to get. I had a copy of the 1 issue, and I got it because it did not have its cover on anymore. But they were kind of hard to find, and sometimes had collector's prices because of the early works. So does it live up to the hype? I think it's a good selection of comics. I think there's some great artwork in it. If you get a chance, take a look online. I did a video on it. If I remember about it after I download all this stuff, I'll put a link to that review and you can take a look at it. Okay. But anyway, just thought I'd point that out. Then Innovation. This is a comic, Avenue X, and it's written by Brenda Black, and Robert Chang does the artwork for it. Now, I like this artwork. It's kind of fun. It does, you know, it is independent comics, so it's not the polish you're gonna get from the major comics, but I like it. I think it's fun artwork. It's about a vampire. Almost all the ones that I've somehow picked seem to have vampires in them. I didn't do that on purpose. So the vampire's got a crush on a pretty young woman. And you can see here, this is part of the bad girl thing. There's a vampire. There's cheesecake. You get to see a sexy lingerie photo shoot. And then you get to see some little vampire action. Really, almost nothing happened. Well, there's Innovation had the rights to do a Quantum Leap comic. And I didn't never watch that TV show, and I never saw this comic. But I thought that was funny, that artwork there. Yeah, not much happens in this comic. A lot of talking. There's a little action pose. So I like the artwork. Nothing great about the story as far as I'm concerned. Then we have Avenue X. I should point out this is 92. Is that what it was? This is coming. Yeah, there it is. That's what I saw. July 1992. Thought I'd just seen the date. I know this came out. This is Avenue X. I like this cover. This cover is exactly the kind of awkward, amateur, but cool looking. I think this is cool looking. Just because it's just so odd. It's just that delights me. But this is a funny, that little strip there. That's hilarious. I don't know if this. I think this might be real signatures on here, but I don't know about that lipstick. I think that was probably printed on it, but I don't know, honestly. So here it is. This is 94. So 2 years later, this artwork, to my mind, is even cruder and more amateur. And this is about the vampire and her friends enjoying. They work at nightclubs. Look at this. Look at that nightclub actor watching there. And so there's all this like nightclub intrigue stuff. As the backdrop, it really seems like it could be one of those straight-to-video movies that you have a little vampire. You have most of the stuff takes place in one locale, so the budget's slow. There's all this drama, so you don't have to spend too much money on filming action scenes. But it's fun. It's fun. I do like this. Some of this artwork is just terrific. Again, if you like this kind of awkward kind of art, and for some reason there's a little. This is I don't know. They call it a book preview. I don't know. For something else. And that's what gets the color insert. Look at all the characters. So, yeah. So finally, at the very end, we start seeing a little bit of action. Should have had a lot more action than that, but here it is. Finally. Some throat slitting, some drinking of blood. This pose here, they grab her. Each of them grabs her legs, and they're pulling her down the steps, and she makes them clack their heads together there. Anyway, Again, I think it's very fun. And that's the next one. Call Me Jane. C.B. Black's Call Me Jane. This is Nocturne. And, it's got two different comics in it. This is by Dark Dog Press. The copyright is 1994 to 95. And there's more vampire stuff. So this one, the first story, vampire's in bed with her lover. She goes off. Artwork's not bad. I'm not sure about these gravestones and the lettering on those. It just struck me. They're a little odd. My problem with this is it is nothing but talk. It's like it's an introduction. It's your introduction to these characters. Nothing happens except that they find out there's these sophisticated vampires. And this vampire is telling her we got to be worried. There's vampires coming that are like, basically ghoulish looking, almost zombie like vampires coming, and there's going to be big trouble. And then that's where that one ends. And this is Repentance preview. So this one, wow, this artwork is really loose. That building, this whole building, this whole backdrop there is pretty wild. And they obscure the car pretty good, because cars are hard to draw. Everything's hard to draw if you want to do it well. But here we go with, like I said, the first one is all built up to something that that doesn't happen in the story, and this one gets right to it. This guy is shot, and he goes flying down, and we get to see he goes into hell. Now this, that lettering, I think your introduction to hell could be a little bit better than that. But you see some monsters. You see people being tormented. Wow. That artwork. And then there's this guy starts having a fight with a kung fu fighting nun. So then we got Nightmare. Now, Antarctic Press is they are one of the bigger independents. They actually had a couple of hits. So this is, like I said, they're an independent, but they did Ninja High School, I guess was their big one. Is that it? Let me know down below. Do they have something here that says some of their other stuff? Tigers of Terra. Anyway, their stuff was very, very influenced by manga artwork, and you'll see that as we go through here. Yeah, Ben Dunn. Ben actually has some interesting videos on YouTube. You can look up Ben Dunn. I don't agree with everything he says, but he's got, he's been in the business a long time, and it's always interesting to listen to. And so here you see these faces here, and some of the way these female characters are drawn. Very, very manga-esque. And I included it with the Bad Girls. It's really much more superhero oriented than most of the things you consider a bad girl. But here's your evil villainess. Here's your lady heroes tied up in a almost a bondage kind of looking thing there. Gosh, I can't remember what this story was. I did read this one. I couldn't tell you what it's about. It's good girls and bad girls fighting. I thought this guy Fearhead looked fun. Kind of looks like, I mean, there's a bunch of villains who have pumpkins for heads in comics, as a homage to the, Headless Horseman. And then I don't know what's going on here. That one of the heroes gets wildly overweight and one of them gets super skinny. And actually, there were 2 issues. This is the last issue. I guess it wasn't doing quite as well as we might have hoped. Oh, I forgot to look when the dates of these are. So these are 1995. Like I said, I think Antarctic Press at one point, when the black and white boom was big, they had a ton of stuff, and like I said, they're still in business, so they're doing something right. I'm just not that into the superhero stuff unless it's really got some super wacky thing, and I guess that does have some elements. But this is Bob Hickey's Blood and Roses by Sky Comics, and this one is from December 1993. The only reason I picked this one out was because what I think is magic marker coloring, and I just thought it looked a little funky. I probably will not hold on to this one. Superheroics kind of thing. Oh yeah, and the dinosaur there at the end. Oh, and they also this is a 1993, and they're already doing the whole behind the scenes sketchbook of character design, which was interesting. But nothing really fantastic. And this is if you're into B movies, then you probably know who Brink Stevens is. Brink Stevens was one of the, I don't know if she would really be considered a scream queen. I think she probably would fit that mode. But she did a lot of low budget films, and she was mostly picked because of she was a good looking woman. And in this comic, this is volume 1 of 3, and it flies right into the heart of the matter. But the superhero tropes are hot and heavy, so you don't really need to know too much right away. But it does start off with an action scene. This gang is terrorizing the city. She falls out of the heavens like an angel. He calls, behold, a fallen angel. And she is some kind of immortal guardian. They're saying goddess. These voices are saying goddess to her. And she imagines the gang as monsters. And she kills them all. But they weren't really monsters, or at least not as far as I can tell. I think she's just supposed to believe that they are. Or maybe they're supposedly possessed by monsters. She was as tough as angels can get. Then she meets up with this mullet-haired dweeb who I guess is supposed to be the stand-in for the audience. That's who we're supposed to identify with. And they get together. There's a part here where she's got some kind of jack in the back of her neck that he charges her up with. Charges her up. I don't know. It's goofy as all get out. Anyway, there's the real Brink. And here you can buy pictures of her. Like I said, I don't know if she was really part of I think she was part of the Scream Queen group of young women. The real tell was, I honestly, I get the Scream Queens kind of mixed up. Quigley, Leanna Quigley, I know is one. More pictures. That was issue 1. Ooh, there's your World Wrestling Federation for you, all you comics fans who also like wrestling. That is not me. The wrestlers I liked were the 60s and very early 70s. Next issue, Julie Bell. All right, we're almost through with this, folks. After Dark, Millennium Comics, number 1. Let's see here. Where's the... This doesn't have a date in it, but I see an ad for something coming out in August 1995. So this is April. I bet this is April 1995. Okay, so 95. All right, so here we go. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different stories in this anthology. And this is not really a Bad Girls anthology. This is a horror anthology, but a lot of bad girls in it. So here it turns out that in this short story, Jack the Ripper is really somebody who's just finding blood for his the love of his life, who needs blood to survive, and so he's killing and mutilating these people for the love of this woman. Then there's this short one where it's just a vampire prostitute is giving men oral sex and then drinks their blood and kills them. And that's the whole thing. The Seductress. It's just this little poem. There's a picture there with it. And this is Lost Soul. Now, I like this artwork here. This is fun. But it's just a woman visits a church, and the priest tells her everyone can be forgiven. She goes, not me, because I'm a vampire and I have no soul. He goes, wait. And she runs out of the church. That's the short story. But that being said, I kind of like this art. And this one is called Opposite Direction, and it's a couple pages from a epic vampire series, Vigil. The title began in 1992. Follows ex-cop Grace Kimball. Bitten by a vampire, Grace now hunts those who feed on others. Catch her return in the U.S. to the U.S. in Desert Foxes. So, yeah, it's just some vampires are about to eat some guys they captured and have thrown into they're vampires who are working as police in some small town. And the good vampires pop in and save them. Vampire's Requiem, that's one more. I like that face. Anyway, Vampire's Requiem, another vampire. That's off of that one. And now this one, Practice in Pain, London Night Studios. I think London Night, I think I have another series by this company. I don't remember what it is, but this is number 1 from 1993. Boy, these books are all within the space of like less than 5 years, it sounds like. So I think there's a couple things in here I can't really show without getting in trouble. But take a look at this artwork. That is wild artwork. That is really over the top. The amount of ink on these pages, I mean, you can see when they're doing the lighter stuff without that, you can see a little bit more the amateur feel of it. But when they add all the black, and you know, they wouldn't be the first people who discovered that. Look at the cat and dog there. It really makes it look good. I actually think this looks pretty good. You know, there's not much to it story-wise. It feels a little Hellraiser-ish with this group torturing people to make them into something else, to change them. I like this artwork. I think this is a fun little horror comic. Not really Bad Girl, except that it's a female. Zoo Studios, LA. Anyway, that's it. That's my little look at some of these Bad Girl comics. Although, like I said, they're not all really Bad Girl comics. I hope you liked that. If you did, let me know. If there's anything you'd like to point out to me, please leave a comment below. And follow me on Instagram, okay? Let's follow. What's that? There. Yeah, that's better.